very heavy heart that we gather in Fort Walton, Florida today. I am Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Natalie Jackson from the Ben Crump firm, and with our co-counsel who we are honored to work with on this very important case, Attorney Brian Bart, who is with Levin Pappenton firm, whose law firm that is headquartered in this region, but is one of the best law firms in America, and we're very honored that he and his firm will take up this cause for justice with us on behalf of Roger Fortson. Also present with us is the mother of Roger, who you're going to hear from after Brian and I address you. She's going to talk about her gift, her special gift, who was Roger Fortson. Also, we have his cousins and family members here. We have Bree Fortson, who is also in the military. She's a Marine. We have her support staff, her family, her best friends, May and Shanova and Asia, all here for her, just trying to hold her up because she is completely devastated. His father, Roger, is completely devastated. His brothers and sister, especially his little brother Andre and his little sister Harmony, who he picked out the name for his 10-year-old sister. He was there when she was delivered. And his mother tells the story of how, he did everything that he did for his family. He was trying to help his family have a better life. His dream, like so many young people who don't come with a silver spoon, was to get his mother a home. He was trying to make sure his 16-year-old brother and his 10-year-old daughter knew that their big brother was going to make sure that they had a chance at the American dream. And that's why he was sacrificing so much for them. And it's very emotional because he was injured when he was on a tour of duty in Kuwait.
Yeah, and he fought.
Get closer to the mic. And
he was injured just loading the plane, and he said the pain was so severe that he thought he was gonna die. And he was like, and he said it so casually though, like, but Mom, I knew I couldn't die because I knew I had to get back to Harmony and Andre. Wow. And when I got the phone call and I had to tell them that he was shot, I gave them some kind of faith because I knew that he would fight for them.
And she believed until she got the ultimate news that he was going to live because he promised his little sister and little brother that he would always be there for them. And so this is heartbreaking on so many levels. We are here at this press conference mainly because we had to correct this narrative that had been put out there. I mean, Roger Fortson was the best America had to offer. He was a patriot. He was a U.S. Airman, special ops. I mean, he was fighting for our way of life.
He was fighting for everybody.
He was fighting for everybody. He graduated from high school in Atlanta, Georgia. He enlisted. He had dreams of being a pilot. He had always wanted to serve in the United States Air Force. And he was living his dream. And by doing so, he was going to make it better for his mother and his siblings and his family so they could have a better chance at the American dream. Everybody who's contacted us, Attorney General, us what an incredible young man he was. Not just that he was a patriot, not just that he was intelligent, not just that he would give his shirt off his back to anybody, not that he was a great son for his mother and father, not that he was a great brother and sister, a brother for his little brother and sister, not that he was an incredible friend. Yeah. You're going to hear from his people he went through basic training with. Their parents talked about how outstanding he was. He held
their kids accountable.
Yeah, and he was just a good person. He was a good person. And when the Okaloosa County Sheriff's deputies came to his apartment, his sanctuary, his castle, where he had every right to be, and they forcefully entered his apartment. His girlfriend was on FaceTime with him, so she heard everything, and she talked about how she heard a bang at the door, an aggressive bang, and she talked about how he said, "Who is it?" and he heard no response. She talked about how he went to the door to look through the peephole, but it was as if somebody was covering up the peephole so he couldn't see out of it. And he kept saying, "Who is it?" And how he went and retrieved his legally registered gun as a gun owner to protect his house, and how he was walking back and the door was open, and then how she said that she just heard shots, and then how he was on the ground.
And they said, instead of calling MS, they just said, "Oh yeah, he shot up. He shot up. My baby was shot up."
He was shot 6 times.
They took my kid. They took my kid.
You can see how devastated the family is. Utterly devastated. And so after that, he was laying on the ground saying, "I can't breathe." And they seemed to go through the apartment saying, "County Sheriff, reveal yourself, identify yourself," while he laid on the ground, still struggling to breathe. Obviously, we know what happened, and it's important to say before Attorney Barr address you all that this truly is about the Constitution. Because in the state of Florida, we encourage gun ownership. We have a right to the Second Amendment. We wear it proudly here in the state of Florida. And when you think about the people who we want to have guns in America, he is Exhibit A. I mean, he was trained to use a firearm. He's a military trained officer. He's very responsible. He respects authority. He's very diplomatic.
He was handpicked.
He was
because of his IQ.
He was handpicked because of his IQ.
It came easy. All of his exams was 100%.
He was special ops. He was picked.
He was special missions aviation.
I mean,
he was handpicked. His colonels, all of them have contacted me, told me such a special young man he was. Even when I got sick and he wanted to come home, they told him no, because he was so smart. He was so intelligent. Even the kids' parents reaching out to me, showing me love, because when he went to their house, he was so respectable. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. God, they don't know what they took from me.
Yes,
Jesus, they don't know what they took.
And he had a right to the Second Amendment. And he also had the right to the Fourth Amendment, to be free of unlawful searches and seizures, especially in his home. I mean, they teach us in law school about the sanctity of the home in the United States of America, and how that is your safe haven. That is your castle. You are free in your home from people using excessive forces and searches and seizures of your home. And Roger had that right. He had that right to the Second Amendment. He had that right to the Fourth Amendment.
He was protecting us so we could have that right.
He was protecting us so we could have all those constitutional rights. You're absolutely right, Mika. I mean, he was a patriot for all of us. And so they busted in the wrong apartment because we know there were no disturbances. In Roger's apartment, he was on the phone with his girlfriend. He had been playing video games with his fellow law enforcement friends, Air Force men. He had been playing video games up until 4 o'clock, had only been home for 30 minutes. His girlfriend reported that when she called him a little before, around 3, that he was playing games, he would be at 4 and he would call her when he got home. And that's exactly what he did. He was just in his apartment minding his business. And then around 4:30, this cascade of tragic events started to take place. They had all kind of chances not to kill him. They could have made sure they were at the right apartment, and they had a duty to make sure they were at the right apartment before they busted in the door. I mean, and Attorney Barr would tell you, it all happened really fast from the 911 call to this here. And the fact that they were knocking on other doors, so they had to know that it was questionable whether this was the apartment or not. And then the fact that when they bust in the door and they see him with his legally registered gun, they just shoot 6 shots into his body. It wasn't a gun exchange. He never fired a weapon or anything. He respected authority. Had he known they were the police, there is nothing in his background, nothing in his background to say that had he known they were the police, he would not have just opened up his apartment. Everybody to a one. Everybody to a one says Roger respected authority. He respected law enforcement. He followed the rules. He never would have shot at a police officer.
Not only because they was the police, but because they was older than him. I always respect him, taught him to respect adults.
Yeah.
You let me handle the adults. If an adult do something to you, I'll handle the adult.
He was 23 years old. His birthday was April 15th. He had just celebrated his birthday. I mean, the police came in, and when they busted in his apartment, they saw him with a gun, and for whatever reason, they thought he was a bad guy. But he was a good guy. I mean, he was a great guy. He was an exceptional guy. They shot a good guy. They killed a good guy. They took from this Air Force a good guy. They took from his community back in Atlanta, Georgia, a good guy. They took from his mama a good guy.
They took my gift.
They took from his little sister Harmony and his little brother Andre a good guy. They took from his father Roger a good guy. They took a patriot from us. And then to put out this narrative that, well, an officer killed a citizen at this apartment complex in self-defense. I mean, how disingenuous.
Senior Airman Roger Fortson. He was Senior Airman.
Senior Airman Roger. That's who they killed. And to put out this narrative, I mean, it was so disingenuous when you think about it. You put out this narrative demonizing his name as if he did something wrong. As he committed some crime. Trying to justify an unjustifiable killing. No, when you make a mistake, you own up to it. You don't try to justify killing a good guy. Okaloosa Sheriff's Department need to own up to this. They need to give him the dignity and the respect
that he deserves.
He so richly deserved.
Yes. He worked hard for it since he was 4 years old.
I mean, he had this dream of serving his country in the Air Force since he was a little boy. He was living his dream. I mean, there's photographs that we're going to share with you. He was so proud to be in the Air Force. He had a photograph of him in his uniform, his airman's uniform, and he bought his little sister Harmony the airman's uniform that she put on, and they have a photograph of them standing side by side, and she's saluting her big brother. I mean, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, that picture is worth 1,000,000. How much he loved being in the United States Air Force and serving his country. His mother is going to tell you in just a minute about how he was a special gift. But this press conference is to demand that Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department do the right thing and correct this narrative. Yes. Correct this narrative. And don't put a stain on the name of this young man. Show them this picture. I want them to see your face with it too. her son. Do not try to put a stain on his name, on his life, on his legacy. Do not do that, Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department. Do not do that. At this time, you're going to hear from a great lawyer. We've worked together on mass torts and different cases. Their law firm is an incredible law firm, and we're very honored to work with Levin Papantonia on this case. Attorney Brian Barr. Let's go. No, you good, Brian. Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Ben, I thank you for inviting me in to work on this case. God, I wish I wasn't here. I just got to meet them this morning. What an incredible family. And I've been listening to stories about Roger, this kid who was this quiet kid growing up. Through his time in the Air Force, gaining confidence, learning who he was, so much ahead of him. And all he was doing was sitting in his house. Sitting in his house.
My Lord.
Every one of us sit in our houses every day. And every one of us, if somebody we don't know comes into our house, are going to defend ourselves. Every single one of us. And he lost his life because they knocked on the wrong door. And they came into the wrong door. Mistakes happen. We know that. Humans aren't perfect. Good people make mistakes. But good people also own their mistakes. They don't put out statements. The day this happened, you read that statement. Go pick it up and read it. What's it make you think? It makes you think this happened outside. That this kid was in the middle of a disturbance. And he did something. He instigated this and lost his life. That's what it makes it sound like. It sounded like justified. That's what they tried to make it sound like. So justified that none of y'all even covered it.
That's deep. That's deep.
There's a few people that had the story, but it didn't get any attention. You know what I heard about it? Yesterday. I live here. I didn't hear about it till I got a call from Ben. That's what that statement did. It made people try to forget Roger. Made it look like he was at fault. Well, we're telling the sheriff's department, you got to own this. We want transparency. That's all we want. We want to see the body cam video. We want to know what happened, and we want the mistakes to be owned. That's our job. And we're not going away until that transparency happens, and we're not going to let them forget Roger.
Amen.
That's not going to happen, not on our watch, not to this kid, not to this family.
Amen.
With that, there's not much more I can say. I'm going to let Mika.
Yeah. I will say this, Attorney LaRuby May, who works with Brian, reminded me that Okaloosa County was where, I guess a year ago, an acorn fell on top of a police car, sheriff's deputy, November, and that it's on video the officer unloaded his gun. And then got on the ground like he was shot. And Attorney May said, Attorney Crump, this is the same sheriff's department, and it seemed like they tried to justify that initially too. Well, that can't be the policy of trying to justify unjustifiable excessive use of force. Attorney Jackson and I think it was excessive to force your way into the apartment not knowing if it was the right apartment. That's excessive force. It reminds me so much, Attorney Jackson, Attorney Barr, Botham Jean, the young man in Dallas, Texas, who an officer went in the wrong apartment, shot and killed him, and then tried to claim self-defense. I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, it doesn't add up. You come into my apartment, you shoot and kill me, and then you say it was self-defense. How does that make any sense? And so it is about the truth, it's about transparency, and it's about justice. It's about justice for Senior Airman Roger Fortson. And you're going to hear from the person who knew him from the moment he came into this world and what he meant to her and their family, and about how special, just how special he really was. She's still in shock and disbelief. It's emotional, so you all bear with her. She's going to try her best to tell you about her son and what was lost. His mother, Mika Fortson. Take your time.
Senior Airman Roger Fortson. Roger was given to me as a gift, which later became my co-worker, my baby daddy, my chef, my counselor, my provider. My baby was my everything. Roger was my third son. Where we come from, you don't end up where Roger ended up. Roger wanted to show a 16-year-old brother that it was more to life than gangster rap, killing people, stealing, and making a fool of himself. Roger wanted to show his mama that raised 5 kids that didn't know where credit was, how to have something.
Wow.
Roger wanted to put his mama in a house. Roger wanted to show us how to love unconditionally.
Wow.
Roger and his brothers waited on a sister for many, many years. That's why it's such a big gap. When they found out I was having a sister, Roger was still in high school. Roger got in the ambulance and went with me. Tried to tell the doctor how to deliver a baby. I don't know what he was doing, but I just needed him to get that baby out of me. And till they took him, his sister's birthday was May the 1st. And he called. And he said, "What's up, Mika? What my sister?" And I said, "She in there." And he said, "Herman, what you want for your birthday?" That's the last conversation we had from a kind, humble, intelligent, compassionate, what you call him? Mr. Make It Happen. He was just I don't think Roger knew how to just be disrespectful to nobody. I don't think he knew how to do that. And I'm his mama. He didn't allow me to do that. For my birthday, my child bought me an Infinity, a brand new car. He was trying to give me everything that I never could get for myself. He was trying to show me things that people that raised me were supposed to show me as a child. He was showing me that my child taught us how to love, how to forgive. So to this sheriff department that took my gift, that had so many accolades inside of him, to err is human and to forgive is divine. I need you guys to tell the truth about my son. I need you to get his reputation right.
Yes.
If you have a heart, if you have a niece, a nephew, any young person in your life, tell the truth about my son. I know my son did not do anything to you guys. If he scared you or if you guys wasn't trained properly, I apologize. But please clean my baby reputation.
Yeah.
Please clean his reputation.
Clean his reputation. And May 1st was Harmony's birthday. This happened on May 3rd. Mika was very happy he at least got to say happy birthday to his little sister who he doted on, who he loved. She talked about every time he called, the first thing he wanted to know is how Harmony is doing.
She was ha-ha and he was rah-rah.
And when you see the photograph of him and his little sister, you would understand just how strong that bond is. We're going to try to take some of your questions at 12 noon, Attorney Jackson, Attorney Barr. We're going to go watch the police body cam video of the tragedy. And I believe the video will be released to the public thereafter. I tell you this, before we have you ask your questions. Roger Fortson believed in truth and honor and dignity as the principles of America, especially where he learned in the United States Air Force. Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department, show us that you believe in truth and honor and dignity, respect too. Clear Roger Fortson's name. Clear Roger's 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 name. He was a patriot. He was the good guy. And he did not deserve to be killed like this and then have these false narratives placed on his life, on his legacy. Nah, that's not American. That is un-American. That is un-American. We will try to take your questions now.
Mr. Crump, Tanner Stewart, WEAR in Pensacola. As far as the deputies going to the wrong apartment, have you been able to clarify which apartment that they were supposed to go to?
We do not. We haven't heard anything at this date. We know it wasn't Roger's apartment that had a disturbance. We know that without a doubt, he didn't have a disturbance.
Mr. Crump, first of all, our condolences to the entire Fortson family. No one can imagine what it's like to be in your shoes today. I'm just curious, have you received any contrition or any sign of contrition at all from the sheriff's department up to this point?
No,
Nothing?
no.
United States Congresswoman Lucy McBath has reached out to offer condolences, and I think some other military leaders, his
Just the United
colonels,
States Air
and
Force.
all the way to the top have been reaching out to offer condolences.
Have they provided any sort of explanation? I know you mentioned the self-defense narrative that you would like clarity on, but also this idea, did you at any point they say brandish a weapon or do anything to provoke
That's
a
just
response?
what we saying. That's just something we found online. They was just gonna throw him away like he was a nobody. That's just something we researched and found what they said. If we wouldn't have been on the phone,
Yeah.
we probably wouldn't know what happened to him.
Yeah. And
Like, she literally watched them walk over him as he was dying, taking his last breath, and discovering who they killed. Like, it's...
yes,
If I
ma'am.
may.
Go ahead.
So, and to answer your question, Tanner, there is an unofficial redacted 911 call that we have heard that has not been able to verify by the Sheriff's Department, but we do believe that it is the true 911 call. On that call, there was a report of a disturbance by a fourth party to the leasing office between a male and a female. And that's the information that we have.
Yes.
What's a proper act of contrition look like for you all?
Well, first of all, telling the truth. Telling the truth. That's not so hard to do.
Let's start there.
Let's start there. And the state attorney and people are investigating this matter. They need to investigate it as thoroughly as possible, knowing that Roger was the good guy here. I mean, Brian and Natalie and I were talking, and really, it's common sense. You came to the wrong apartment. You said it's an accident, and so forth. Well, we got laws in the state of Florida that deal with accidental killings. So we want you to investigate and do whatever justice will allow for a good guy.
They never even said his name, but they saw his ID. Why didn't you say his name?
It's a military town. Everybody that lives here knows that. There's a military kid.
And often military personnel have firearms.
A lot of people in this area have firearms beyond just,
It's Florida.
yeah, we have things like stand your ground and the castle doctrine and very strong believers in the Second Amendment here in the state of Florida. Maybe not as much in the Fourth.
Yeah. And the Second Amendment applied to Roger too.
Even more.
And police have to know that the Second Amendment applies to all citizens, so they should be trained to deal with that, especially when they're coming into someone's home. Especially if it's with a measure of force.
This is a trained member of the military, trained with firearms, legally owns firearms, knows how to use them, is careful with them, knows all the gun safety. He's a military guy.
Take it apart. I like it.
And his home, from his perspective, is broken into. We're not saying that. I mean, you don't hear that narrative. His home was broken into. It doesn't matter who it was, who broke in. He has the right to protect his home.
If you could speak to the deputy right now, ma'am, who's on the other side of this situation, what would you say to him?
Kill the good guy.
I just need him to let you guys know my baby real story. Tell the truth on my baby. Just tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
You would want somebody
Tell the
to
truth.
give your mama that narrative.
Tell the
If
truth.
you out there in the field and somebody killed you, you don't want them to say that you was a bad cop taking money. That's not what you want your mama to hear. You want your mama to say you was trying to save somebody from being killed or something. You was killed in the line of duty. So give his mom what you would want your mom to have.
Wow.
Tell the truth about my
Tell the
dad.
truth.
Have any one of you heard at all from Sheriff Hayden or anyone?
Now, we're going to meet at 12 noon today to look at the video, and I would imagine he would offer condolences to Miss Fortson. It hasn't happened yet.
Ms. Fortson, when and how exactly, if you could tell us, did you find out of Roger's passing?
Just his girlfriend.
After I got the call from his girlfriend, me and my daughter-in-law, we drove to Florida. They told me, they kept saying he was in the OR, and they would make bogus phone calls like, is he allergic to some type of medicine? Because they don't want him to break out in rashes or whatever. And then one of the nurses, I guess, I don't know, maybe he didn't read something. He was I the driver, was I the passenger? And I said, is my baby gone? And he was like, no, he's still in the OR. And I told her, I said, my baby gone. I said, my baby gone. But I still want to put eyes on my baby. So we kept going and we got down there. I called my pastor. I said, my baby, they don't kill my baby. I said, and there's an investigator calling me. I said, they don't took his phones. I guess they don't figured out that he was talking to somebody when they killed him. We get to the hospital. I see we stand out there. It take them a long time to come and get me. We go through the double doors. Two investigators come towards me. And I asked them, I said, please just step away from me right now. I said, you guys have killed my baby. I asked the nurse, I said, can you just take me to my baby? I said, take me to my son, please. I said, I don't want to talk to no investigators. I just want to see my child. And she was just caught in like a deer in headlights. I guess she thought they had already told me. And I got 5 kids. You can tell when your baby hungry, your baby diaper is wet. So I know something wrong with my baby because of their expressions. And sir, I walked through the door. I see a black folder with a pen. And I see 3 men in blue Air Force uniforms. That's when I knew my child was dead, before any word was uttered. That's when I knew, because when I called my church pastor and told him what was going on, he called these people in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, because nobody was giving me any answers. In the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Like when you say somebody calling in the midnight hour, that's the type of mama I am.
Yeah.
In the midnight hour, I called my pastor, Jamal Bryant. Mm-hmm. I don't care what nobody say about my pastor, Jamal Bryant. Yeah. Left his duties with his own child to help me see about mine that the sheriff had killed and got them down there. Yeah. But little did I know they was already down there to give me the news that they had took my gift.
And he called repeatedly through the night until he got us.
And when I got in there, the only thing those 3 men could tell me how exceptional my child were. And it's still, my heart was still bleeding. And they still wanted to talk to me. The only thing, you know what they want to tell me? The investigation is ongoing. And walk out the room. You didn't want to say your condolences. You didn't want to say you were sorry. You just wanted to say investigation is ongoing. You couldn't even tell me where my child was. You couldn't even tell me that you had shipped him to Pensacola. You couldn't tell me none of that. I'm thinking my baby is at this hospital I'm going to. You couldn't tell me none of that.
And it's important, if you can, Mika, if you could tell them how his girlfriend was on FaceTime with and then she called you all while she was still on FaceTime immediately afterwards. And what she said, Mama, or what?
She called me and said, Mama, she said, the sheriff just kicked in Roger door, and I heard them say something about 3 shots. That's what she said. That's what she said. And I told her, whatever you do, don't hang up that phone. Just don't. I told her, I said, don't hang up that phone. And I just started calling everybody, and I was so discombobulated. Everybody said the only thing I was saying was, Roger, I got to get Roger, and hanging up on everybody. If they didn't say I'm on the way, I hung up on them. That's all I knew. Because, mind you, I just got hit by 2 trucks last October. He got hurt when he was in Kuwait. He came up to take care of me. When he took me to the emergency room, the people looking at us like, which one of y'all is the patient? That's the kind of gift he was. They took something that can never be replaced.
It's important to clarify, Mika, they said 3 shots. She heard 3 shots and said, drop your weapon. Then she heard more shots.
Yeah, so total of 6. They said 3 to the chest and 3 to the left arm. So why that many shots? Why that's...
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Ben, have you subpoenaed or has law enforcement obtained the FaceTime video? And if so, have you seen it?
She has an attorney because she was afraid that she just heard them, watched them kill her boyfriend. And so I think they're in the process of doing that.
Right now, she's tore up.
Yeah.
She no more good.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Any other questions? Last question.
She watched them kill her boyfriend. She
What-
didn't actually see the shooting.
No, she was on FaceTime with him, I guess.
Listening.
Listen, yeah. From the beginning, she was on FaceTime when the knocks at the door and everything. He's talking to her while this is going on. Young people are always on FaceTime now. And thank God she was on.
That's their ritual every day. When he get off work, she's a nurse. She worked night shift. So that's their ritual.
Has she described
What?
the way Roger approached the knock on the door, what he thought of this?
I'm sorry?
Has the girlfriend described at all Roger's emotions or expression when he heard a knock on the door? Was it confusion?
Yeah, it was heard the banging on the door. He says, "Who is it?" He doesn't hear anything, hear more banging. Who is it? He goes to look out the peephole, tells her, I can't see anything, like somebody got their hand over the door. So he then goes, gets his weapon, and then the rest happens from there. We're going to get the body cam video, so hopefully that'll give us even more transparency into the matter. Attorney Barr, anything else? Attorney Jackson? We will continue to keep you updated. We pray that people all over America understand this. Everybody should be troubled by this. I mean, you really should be troubled by this. Any law-abiding citizen who feels they have a right to the Fourth Amendment and the Second Amendment should be very troubled by this matter. I pray that everybody, I don't know what special things the military or the president or whoever could do to acknowledge that he was a good guy, but they ought to do it.
And we want the Air Force has been very
No, Air Force has been tremendous. I mean,
Especially his brotherhood.
his brotherhood within the Air Force, everybody has been reaching out to his family, offering not only services but condolences to his mother and his family, because, as they said, he was a proud member of the brotherhood. I mean, look at that picture. Just look at that picture. I mean, if this doesn't say patriot, I don't know what does. He was the good guy. Last question.
Then the girlfriend on the FaceTime Is she local here in Florida, or?
Right now, she is. They're trying to protect her because obviously, as her mother said, she's devastated. All she does is cry. I mean, she thought she was going to marry this. This was going to be her future, her husband. I mean, she's just devastated. Devastated. Attorney Jackson, there was something else you wanted me. Okay. We will let you all know about the funeral services as his family are trying to make them. They're waiting for his body to be returned to them, and then he will have funeral services in his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia.
And actually, there was something, let them know at some point we're talking to her attorney and see if she would be talking to her.
Yeah, and the hope is when she's prepared, his girlfriend will try to tell what they talked about, what she heard and so forth. And then when she hit record after, shots.
I'm so sorry to have to ask this question. You laid out, Mr. Crump, the preponderance of situations that are very similar to this in recent years. Do you believe the outcome may have been different if the color of his skin was different?
That is something that America has to answer. I mean, he was a true American patriot. Thank you all. We'll continue to keep you updated as we get information. Thank you.
Is this someone's phone? Is this someone's phone in the media? Oh, okay.